Hi and welcome. You are listening to Listen and Relax. Sit back and enjoy these influencer horror stories. If you want us to continue making these videos, please let us know in the comments what you think about the stories and if we should continue. Please like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay updated when we post new exciting stories. I never set out to be a model or an influencer. In high school, I was just another face in the crowd, nothing special, but not exactly invisible either. I wasn't ugly, but I definitely didn't think I was the Instagram model type. But everything changed when I got to college. My look started to evolve, and by 2018, Instagram was exploding. College accounts began reposting pictures of good looking girls, and one day, a photo I posted went viral. Just like that, my following grew by thousands overnight. It was surreal. Soon after, a local modeling agency reached out to me, offering me a gig for a bikini calendar. Suddenly, I was a someone, and the more my picture circulated online, the more my career took off. By 2019, I packed up and moved to Los Angeles, ready to take on the world of modeling and social media full time. At first, LA was everything I dreamed of. I took every opportunity that came my way: collaborations, photo shoots, podcasts. It wasn't until I started building real success in 2022 that things started to feel too good to be true. That's when I encountered the first real horror of being in the public eye. It all started when I noticed an unsettling comment on one of my posts. It linked to a private account where someone had posted a video of me on my balcony without my permission. At first, I thought it was a fluke, but then I saw there were more videos of me from different angles showing my daily life. Turns out I wasn't the only one. Other women in my apartment building had been filmed too. I felt violated, exposed. I called the cops, but they said it was a cyber issue and I need to go through the FBI. I never saw the guy. He was always hiding behind his window, recording from the shadows. His account wasn't just full of me. It had videos of other women in public spaces, some of them completely unaware they were being watched. I moved out of that apartment as soon as I could, but the feeling of being hunted stayed with me. In 2022, I bought a house in Arizona to have a bit of peace from the chaos of LA. I took every precaution, even hiring a cybersecurity consultant. I thought I was safe, that I'd learned my lesson. But then the tech started. First, I received a photo of the outside of my house, then a picture of my bedroom window. The messages were aggressive, threatening, violent. I felt trapped. The worst part, I didn't know who it was. Whoever this was, they knew where I lived and they were watching me. The texts kept coming for weeks, each one worse than the last. I didn't respond, but I didn't block them either. I was terrified they'd show up at my door. I felt paranoid everywhere I went, even at the grocery store. The police said it was a man, but that was all they could tell me. My friends and family stayed with me as much as they could. I never slept alone during that time. I filed a police report and eventually got a restraining order, but the process felt agonizingly slow. 2 months later, the order was granted and the text stopped, but the fear never fully went away. Y still lo fue being an influencer. I'm grateful for my career, my followers, my life. But no one talks about the darker side of this world. The obsession, the invasion of privacy. I've learned the hard way that being in the public eye comes with a price. If you're dealing with something like this, know you're not alone. Speak up, report it, seek help. Stalking is real, and it happens to more people than you think. For me, it took courage to take action, but now I'm thankful I did. That's the terrifying reality behind the glittering world of influencers. Because sometimes the more attention you get, the darker the shadows that follow. I grew up in Trinidad and Tobago, a beautiful island with a complicated history. My father was Chinese, my mother a mix of Venezuelan, Indian, and African. Life was sheltered, controlled, especially at my convent school, where we were forbidden to speak our native slang. We were forced to speak in British English, a constant reminder that who I was, my true self, was something to be suppressed. At 18, I'd had enough. I left everything behind, escaping to New York with nothing but a suitcase and a dream. The city was electric. I was ready for anything. But nothing could prepare me for what happened next. I was working a modest job in a gift shop near Lincoln Center when an unexpected encounter changed everything. A young actor eager to make a name for himself noticed me and suggested I apply for a job at the Playboy Club. I wasn't the typical bunny. I wasn't tall, I wasn't blonde, but something about me caught his eye. Reluctantly, I decided to check it out. The next day, I went for an interview, met the bunny mother, and was asked to try on the iconic bunny costume. It was strange. It felt like I was being transformed into something else, something I didn't recognize. But when they told me I had the job, I was shocked and excited. I'll never forget my first day. The training was intense. We learned how to walk, how to serve the rich and powerful, how to be flawless. I was assigned to the door bunny position, greeting guests at the entrance and making announcements about the club's activities. My Trinidadian British accent seemed to charm everyone, but I felt exposed, vulnerable in the skimpy costume. The constant stares made me self conscious. I had to stop covering myself with my hands, but it didn't help. The discomfort lingered for days. Despite the strange feeling in my gut, the job was thrilling. I made friends with the other bunnies. We laughed, we worked, we lived for the excitement of the club. But every now and then, there were moments that felt off. I remember one evening when a man slipped me a note with a $50 bill tucked inside. He wasn't subtle. It was clear what he wanted. My friend, who had been a bunny for much longer, tore up the bill and told me exactly what I needed to do with it. I went over to his table and scattered the pieces of the bill all over his head. He was humiliated. He left the club quickly. But something about that moment stuck with me. There were darker things happening behind the glitz and glamour. At the Playboy Club, you met everyone. CEOs, famous actors, mafia bosses. But it was the people from the darker corners of society that unnerved me the most. One day, during my lunch break, I was called to meet a VIP. The manager informed me that a Thai general wanted to meet the bunny from Thailand. I froze. I wasn't Thai. I was from Trinidad and Tobago, but I was too terrified to correct him. I hid under a table until the general left. I knew that being at the club meant being surrounded by powerful and often dangerous people, but I also met fascinating people. I had real conversations with celebrities like James Baldwin and Woody Allen. With Allen, it was eerie. He barely spoke. When I sat on his lap for a photo shoot, he was cold, distant, almost robotic. Weeks later, I saw him on TV and couldn't believe how different he seemed. The man I met was nothing like the persona he'd created. The stories surrounding the Playboy Mansion were legendary, and most of them were true. I'd heard the rumors about drugs, debauchery, and scandal, but curiosity got the better of me. One night I went. The mansion was exactly as I had imagined, larger than life, a carnival of indulgence. Celebrities mingled with politicians and shady figures, all of them dancing, drinking, and doing things they probably wouldn't want anyone to know. The atmosphere was intoxicating. The bunnies were like stars, adored and objectified in equal measure. But even in that sea of people, something didn't sit right with me. There was a darkness beneath all the flashing lights. It wasn't just the drugs or the sex, it was the emptiness. Everyone there seemed to be searching for something, but I couldn't tell what. By 1978, the life I'd known in New York had lost its allure. I married, moved to Geneva, and began a new chapter, far removed from the world of Playboy. But the memories still haunt me. There were moments, even after I left, when I couldn't shake the feeling that the life I had led, the people I had met, had somehow changed me forever. I worked in the international world, met new people, lived a quieter life. But the ghost of my time at the club never fully left. Years later, I organized the first Playboy Bunny reunion. It was surreal. Some of my old colleagues had become doctors, lawyers, teachers. Others had married into wealth. It was a strange mix of success, but for me, it was a reminder of the price we pay for fame and the things we lose along the way. Looking back, I can't help but wonder how much of me was left in that club, in the mansion with those men. Being a bunny opened doors to a world I never imagined. But it also exposed me to things that I was too young to understand. For all the fame, the glitz, the glamour, the moments of joy, there were shadows lurking in the background. I never quite felt safe, even in the spotlight. The truth is, the Playboy Club wasn't just a place of fun and excitement. It was a world of secrets, manipulation, and power. And when you're in that world, you're never fully in control. You're just a puppet in a game that's much darker than you realize. I never thought that a simple photo would change my life, or maybe even my career. But that's exactly what happened when I posted an innocent snapshot of a trip to Hong Kong. It was just another travel post, you know? The kind I share all the time on my YouTube and social media. I was visiting Soho, Hong Kong, wandering around with a few friends, snapping photos for fun. Nothing out of the ordinary, right? Until I snapped a picture in a bar mirror and she appeared. The moment I uploaded it, I had no idea what I was unleashing. The photo was a casual shot of me, but there was someone else in the reflection, someone I didn't notice at the time. A woman dressed in a dark red shirt, clutching her back as if in pain. At first glance, I thought it was just a trick of the light. But after posting it, something strange happened. The image went viral. I thought it was just another cool shot, but no one was talking about me. It was all about the woman in the background, whose presence seemed off. Was she a ghost? Was it an illusion? I was flooded with messages and comments, some from believers, others from skeptics. But the one thing they all had in common was that they were freaked out. Soon enough, the hashtag Hong Kong ghost exploded across the internet. People were obsessed. Some thought it was a hoax. Others were convinced it was paranormal. The debate started immediately. Was it a ghost caught on camera, or was it just an unfortunate photo of a passerby in the wrong place at the wrong time? Even experts weighed in. Dr. Jaseda Dinduing Borapin, a well-known Thai scientist, suggested it could just be a visual trick. He mentioned that adjusting the light would make the figure look more like a person than a ghost. It was a scientific explanation, nothing supernatural about it. But honestly, that didn't stop the frenzy. I was still processing it all when the bar where I took the picture, posted their own response. They started sharing details about the incident, saying they were working to recover CCTV footage from that night. But the plot only thickened when they said the footage was missing. Now, I wasn't just some YouTuber taking a random photo. I was caught up in a mystery. Here's the thing, it wasn't just about a ghost. People started digging into the details, and that's when things really got weird. They analyzed the mysterious woman's fashion. And guess what? The Hong Kong ghost was apparently wearing designer clothes worth over 30,000 baht. A high-end shirt from British brand Turnbull and Acer, pants from Zara, and shoes from an American brand called Autry. They weren't just looking at the ghost, they were critiquing her wardrobe. People started calling her a modern ghost, as if the whole situation wasn't strange enough. The bar's Instagram account got in on the action too, posting cryptic messages about the incident. Did our bar just get a little more spirited? They asked. The staff was now in on the mystery, with some even hinting that they were working to uncover the truth. They jokingly referred to it as the Soho Ghost, trying to keep it lighthearted. But deep down, I could feel the tension building. This was no longer just a joke. Then another update came from the bar. We're on a mission to recover the CCTV footage that has mysteriously gone missing. They said they were still trying to track down the footage, even reaching out to nearby shops for help. It felt like a game of detective work, and I was the one stuck in the middle. As the story spread, the debate took a darker turn. Legal experts started weighing in. One lawyer warned that if it was proven that the woman was just a person, not a ghost, and I continued to claim it was paranormal, it could have serious consequences. Public panic was the last thing anyone wanted, and I could face fines or jail time if I was found guilty of spreading misinformation. But it wasn't just about the law. It was about the public's reaction. People were glued to the story, torn between believing in the supernatural and dismissing it as a hoax. The more the story spread, the more intense the comments became. Some said I was exploiting the situation for views. Others accused me of faking the ghost to boost my popularity. In the days following the photo, my phone didn't stop buzzing. Everywhere I went, people were talking about the hashtag Hong Kong ghost. But I had to wonder, was this all just a coincidence? Had I really captured something unexplainable, or had I just been in the right place at the right time when a person happened to walk through my shot? The whole situation felt surreal, like I had stepped into a movie where the lines between reality and fiction blurred in front of my eyes. There was no going back. The more I tried to explain it, the weirder things got. No matter how many times I said it was just a photo, people refused to let it go. I've had my fair share of viral moments, but this was different. It felt like something bigger than me, something that had taken on a life of its own. I couldn't escape it. And in the back of my mind, I couldn't shake the feeling that maybe, just maybe, something truly otherworldly had been caught on film. But I'll never know for sure. All I know is this: I will never look at a mirror the same way again. I've always been a pretty open book with my followers, whether it's sharing my fitness tips or candid moments from my life with my husband, Josh. But there's one secret I've kept hidden for a while now. It's a bit creepy, and if I'm being honest, it still gives me chills when I think about it. I'll just come out and say it. I spy on my babysitter. And sometimes I don't just watch, I intervene. Before you judge me, hear me out. It all started innocently enough. We had a few friends babysitting Harvey, our son, and I was just trying to make sure everything was going smoothly. I'm not one of those overbearing moms, or at least I try not to be, but when I noticed something strange through the baby monitor, I couldn't help but jump in. It all went down during one of those late night podcast sessions with my co host, Laura. We were talking about random, funny things that had happened to us, and I casually brought up a story about our babysitters. They were talking about putting Harvey in this tiny baby suit. I said, I heard them on the monitor and texted them about it. Laura paused and gave me this look, like she was waiting for me to elaborate. Actually, I corrected myself. I didn't just text them. I spoke through the monitor. At this point, I could tell she was shocked, but I couldn't help it. I couldn't let them make the mistake of putting my baby in something too small. It wasn't just about the clothes. It was about being in control of what happens in my home, even when I'm not there. And that's when it started getting weird. I realized I could do more than just listen in on Harvey. I could talk to anyone in the house. So I started using the baby monitor to check in on what was going on when Josh was taking care of Harvey, too. I'm not proud of it, but sometimes I'd jump in with suggestions if I thought he was doing something wrong. It's funny how you can start with one small thing, like ensuring your baby's outfit is the right size, and suddenly you're using surveillance tech to check on your spouse. I know what you're probably thinking. Steph, that's creepy. And maybe you're right. Maybe it's a little too much. But there's something strangely comforting about having control, especially when it comes to the people I love the most. Of course, when I admitted this on my podcast, I didn't expect the backlash. Some of my followers called me out, saying it was creepy or controlling. I get it. On the surface, it sounds pretty invasive. But here's the thing: I wasn't doing it to be malicious. I wasn't spying just to catch someone in the act. It was about peace of mind. I guess that's what motherhood does to you. You start to worry about everything, even when you're not around. The weird thing was, though, some of my followers actually supported what I was doing. Other moms came forward, admitting they'd done the same thing. In fact, Bachelor star Alex Nation commented, I am so guilty of this. Suddenly, I didn't feel so alone in my strange little habit. Looking back, I get why people think it's a little over the top. I mean, how many people actually listen in on their babysitters or spouses through a baby monitor? The truth is, I probably crossed a line somewhere. But here's the kicker: I didn't do it out of malice or distrust. It wasn't even about being a big brother type. It was about making sure everything was perfect. And that's what a lot of us influencers are constantly trying to do: keep up that image of having everything under control. It's not just about the baby monitor or the random text. It's about the constant pressure to show you got it all together. The secret life of an influencer isn't always what it seems on the outside. And sometimes, I guess that includes a little surveillance on the side. I've been pretty open with all of you about my dating life over the years. I've had my share of ups and downs, and you know what? I've always felt pretty lucky to find some good people. That is until one of them, an ex of mine, completely flipped my world upside down. It all started a few years ago when I was dating Dylan. He was charming, successful, and we met through a mutual friend. You know how it goes: you meet someone, they seem perfect, and you just click. We clicked. He loved everything about my life, from my influencer career to my social media presence. He would always comment on how well I handle my platforms, how I seem so in control of everything. It felt good to have someone supportive by my side, but as time went on, I started noticing little things. At first, they were easy to ignore. Small quirks, things that seemed funny or innocent at first, but when I think back on them, I realized they were off. It started with the request, or should I say, his preferences when it came to our intimacy. Now, I'm usually an open minded person, but one night, after a long day of filming and editing, Dylan turned to me with this strange look in his eyes. He had been unusually quiet, watching me scroll through my DMs. I asked, "Is everything okay? You've been a little off tonight." And that's when it happened. He said, "I want to be with all of you. Every part of you. I mean, every part." I froze. I wasn't sure how to respond. It wasn't the words that got to me. Exactly, but the way he said them. The intensity. I'm all for being open in a relationship, but that sounded a little strange. I brushed it off, thinking maybe I was just tired or overthinking it. But then he started making these bizarre little suggestions. He would ask me to, well, pose in ways that made me feel uncomfortable. Like he'd say things like, "Can you look more vulnerable in this picture?" Like, "Really show yourself. Show all of you." I thought, okay, maybe he's just being playful. Or maybe I'm reading too much into it. But over time, those requests started getting more frequent, more demanding. It was no longer about a casual suggestion. It was about controlling how I looked, how I behaved, even how I shared parts of my life. And here's the part that really creeped me out. He wanted to take it further than just our private life. He'd constantly ask, "What would it be like if you showed more of yourself on your social media?" Not just the cute pictures. I mean, everything. Show the real, raw, unfiltered you. I remember feeling this chill run down my spine. What did he mean by that? What was he really asking? And then it happened. One night, he asked me to send him a private video, but it wasn't just any video. He wanted me to record myself talking, just talking about whatever, no makeup, in the most vulnerable way possible. "Just be real with me," he said. It wasn't so much the video that was strange, but the context behind it. The way he said it made me feel like he wanted to see me stripped down, not just physically, but emotionally. And that's when I started to feel like something was off. I didn't know how to handle it, so I agreed. I mean, we were in a relationship, right? Relationships are built on trust, right? But after I sent the video, things started to change. Dylan's tone became darker, more demanding. It wasn't just about the video anymore. He would make comments like, "I want to see all of you. I want to know everything. All of your thoughts, all of your feelings. I want to be in your head." And I thought maybe I had opened a door I shouldn't have. Maybe I gave him access to a side of me I didn't want him to see. Then the text started coming. It was like his messages went from sweet to, well, possessive. He'd send things like, "I can't stop thinking about you, about how much you've given me, how much of you I have, how much more of you I could have." And that's when it hit me. This wasn't about love. This wasn't even about attraction. It was about control. I didn't realize it at first, but as time went on, I started to feel like a prize he was trying to claim, a trophy to put on display. Every picture I posted, every video I shared, he was watching, waiting for more. The real me, the unfiltered, raw version of me, wasn't just something I was sharing with my followers anymore. It was something he demanded from me. He was trying to erase the lines between public and private. That night, the final straw came when I was at home, just scrolling through some messages. Dylan sent me a text that read, "I need to see more. I need to see all of you. Why don't you show me on Instagram? Just do it. Let's make it real." I immediately felt a wave of disgust and panic. This wasn't just a relationship. This wasn't just someone who loved me. This was someone who wanted to consume me, own me, control every part of me. So I broke it off. I ended things and it was messy. But in that moment, I realized something important. People, even the ones you think you can trust, can want to take more than you're willing to give. And sometimes they don't even know when to stop. I deleted all the videos, all the personal stuff I had shared with him. But even now, months later, I feel like there's still a part of me that's haunted by those requests, by that feeling of being watched, even when I'm not posting. So here's my advice. You need to protect yourself. Your boundaries are important, and if someone doesn't respect those boundaries, walk away. Trust your gut. Sometimes it's the only thing you have left. Stay safe out there. Guys, trust yourself. And always be careful who you let into your world, online and offline.